is going to be on our other institutes that we have, which is IGIDR MSc, Gokhale, IIFT and CBS. Now, why do I club these institutes together? There is a reason behind it. See, these institutes will not have the same pattern, of course. The paper style is different. But these institutes would ask you questions which are not at the same level as would be an ISI paper or as would be an IIT paper, right? Now, earlier, well before DSC came into CUET, I used to divide this entire thing in 4 parts. BSc, one separate zone, one separate kind of paper. ISI, very different. And within ISI, PEB, super difficult and different. The next one is IIT, which has just recently came in, and here I also have GATE. By the way, IIT and GATE in themselves are very different, huh? The paper level of IIT is extremely difficult, but the paper level of GATE would be easy, but you have to do general aptitude in that also, practice that. You have to practice English also in that. You have to practice logic also in that. So you have multiple other things in GATE which IIT is not requiring you to do. Huh? And the last level is where I combine all these together. And the 5th one, of course, is CUET. So we can go ahead and divide our entire exam, whatever exams we have to give in MA Economics, into these 5 different categories. But of course, now I no more have DSC, so I can just remove this. So 4 different categories is what we can divide it into. Okay. So this series that I have defined are accordingly. One focuses only on these IIT kind of questions, one only on ISI kind of questions. IIT, some days I will take core IIT and some days I will take GATE questions. Then beta, the 3rd one focuses on all of this and the 4th one focuses on CUET. Within IGIDR, by the way, you will also be asked to do basic maths question, right? And when I talk about this basic maths, this is class 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th maths, right? You already know I am doing a series with you where I am trying to cover class 11th maths or during Mondays. Why? Because this is going to be very useful for your IGIDR basic maths part. So you may see some, so last year we did some series where we did questions on concurrent triangles, circles, line segments, because all of that does come in an IGIDR paper. And this IGIDR paper, this, once you clear this, but IGIDR offers, and MSc also and Gokhale also, they offer you placement at par with DSC, with ISI, with IIT, at par. I know multiple of my students, I will show you some testimonials of my students. I know multiple of my students who are sitting currently at, their campus placement, they're sitting at 15 lakhs per annum, at 17 lakhs per annum. They are from these institutes. So don't take them lightly. They may ask you comparatively simpler questions. A lot of times, in this entire journey of preparing difficult questions, you give up on the easier ones. You don't do those. And they are the one that will trick you in exam. At the end, you might feel confused in those questions. So these series are equally important. You may feel that these are easy questions, but I want you to revise those with me. Okay, let us start. So the first question of the day. Okay, beta. So these are all questions. I forgot to mention the topic here. These are related to consumer theory, right? So when total utility increases at a diminishing rate, what will be the condition of marginal utility? Go ahead, try to answer them, and I will look into the chat window to see that you are able to answer this question. So the question is, when total utility increases at a diminishing rate, what is going to be what is going to be the condition for marginal utility? Okay, so let's see. So this is how I can make my total utility diagram, and this is how I can make my marginal utility diagram, right? Here total utility is increasing, but it is increasing at a decreasing rate, right? Decreasing rate. So what is happening to marginal utility? It is decreasing. Another way to see this mathematically, the slope of total utility is marginal utility. So if it is increasing, that's fine, but it is increasing at a diminishing rate, na? So the slope should be diminishing. So the correct answer to this question, as all of you would have guessed, is C. When total utility increases at a diminishing rate, marginal utility diminishes. But what is this called? This is called the law of diminishing marginal utility, right? Okay, come to the next question. Which of the following assumptions of the indifference curve analysis? So which of these are the assumptions of the indifference curve analysis? Try to do this. Okay, you're saying C, someone is saying D. See, here is what happens. Increasing MRS, no, that's not the assumption. We want MRS to diminish. Decreasing MRS. Cardinal numbers, no. We always talk about indifference curve in terms of ordinality, in terms of ranking. So no, we want ordinality. So the correct answer is monotonic preferences. A lot of times, the moment you see all of those, I don't know why, it's a click that people will just mark all of these. That's not correct in this case. So the right answer is monotonic consumer preferences. Come to the next question. So let's read this down. So it says monotonic consumer preferences, which means that consumer will always prefer more to less. Can you tell me an example of a utility function which does not follow monotonic preferences? Which utility function doesn't follow monotonic preferences? One such example can be the example of bad goods, right? So if my utility function is like this, beta, minus x square minus y square. So both x and y are bad goods for me. They are giving me negative utility. Any number of x and y you put, you will get negative utility. You will always prefer that your x and y should be 0, 0 over any positive number of x and y. So here monotonic preference is not being followed. You want less of the good instead of more of the good, right?